Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome back to Formula Amateur, where today we'll be discussing the Japanese Grand Prix. It was only one formula, and that's Formula 1, that took part this time, so we'll only be focusing on that. And we will also have a new segment where I yap about what I think needs to change, or some observations I made, just to give it a bit more of an edge, I guess. So let's get into it, shall we? And we start off with FP1, where we did not have Fernando Alonso in the car because he just became a father for the first time. So he was on his way to Japan during FP1, and instead Jack Crawford took part in his car, and he ended up 22nd with 11 laps. Then in 21st was Lance Stroll with 22 laps. In 20th was Valtteri Bottas with 24 laps. In 19th was Sergio Perez with 18 laps. In 18th was Alex Albon with 22 laps. In 17th was Carlos Sainz with 26 laps. In 16th was Franco Colapinto with 24 laps. In 15th was Pierre Gasly with 25 laps. In 14th was Oliver Behrman with 27 laps. In 13th was Isaac Hadjar with 27 laps. In 12th was Nico Hülkenberg with 26 laps. In 11th was Gabriel Bortoleto with 27 laps. In 10th was Arvid Lindblad with 29 laps. In 9th was Esteban Ocon with 23 laps. In 8th was Liam Lawson with 27 laps. In 7th was Max Verstappen with 27 laps. In 6th was Lewis Hamilton with 23 laps. In 5th was Charles Leclerc with 25 laps. In 4th was Oscar Piastri with 23 laps. In 3rd was Lando Norris with 20 laps. In 2nd was Kimi Antonelli with 26 laps. And the fastest of practice 1 was George Russell. And now on to FP2, where we have all of the drivers in their cars. And in 22nd was Arvid Lindblad, who unfortunately only did one lap before he had an issue with his car, and he dropped 12 positions to where he was in free practice 1. In 21st was Lance Stroll, who did 21 laps and stayed where he was. In 20th was Sergio Perez with 14 laps. He dropped 1 position. In 19th was Fernando Alonso with 24 laps. He gained 3 positions. In 18th was Valtteri Bottas with 28 laps. He gained 2 positions. In 17th was Franco Colapinto with 28 laps. He dropped 1 position. In 16th was Gabriel Bortoleto, who had 11 laps and dropped 5 positions. In 15th was Isaac Hadjar with 29 laps, and he dropped 2 positions. In 14th was Pierre Gasly with 29 laps and gained 1 position. In 13th was Carlos Sainz, who did 30 laps and gained 4 positions. In 12th was Liam Lawson, who had 31 laps and dropped 4 positions. In 11th is Esteban Ocon, who did 30 laps and dropped 2 positions. In 10th was Max Verstappen, who had 29 laps and dropped 3 positions. In 9th is Oliver Behrman with 28 laps and he gained 5 positions. In 8th is Alex Albon with 30 laps and he gained 10 positions. In 7th is Nico Hülkenberg with 27 laps and he gained 5 positions. In 6th is Lewis Hamilton with 27 laps and he stayed where he was. In 5th is Charles Leclerc with 28 laps and he stayed where he was. In 4th is Lando Norris with 17 laps and he dropped 1 position. In 3rd is George Russell with 29 laps and he dropped 2 positions. In 2nd is Kimi Antonelli with 28 laps and he stayed where he was. And in 1st is Oscar Piastri with 29 laps and he gained 3 positions. And now on to the final practice session of the Japanese Grand Prix, where in 22nd was Fernando Alonso with 14 laps. He dropped 3 positions. In 21st position, you guessed it, it's Lance Stroll with 19 laps and he stayed where he was once again. In 20th is Sergio Perez with 18 laps. He stayed where he was. In 19th is Valtteri Bottas, who had 20 laps and dropped 1 position. In 18th is Carlos Sainz with 26 laps and he dropped 5 positions. In 17th is Franco Colapinto with 25 laps and he stayed where he was. In 16th is Alex Albon with 20 laps and he dropped 8 positions. In 15th is Oliver Behrman with 18 laps and he dropped 6 positions. In 14th is Esteban Ocon with 22 laps. He dropped 3 positions. In 13th is Arvid Lindblad with 17 laps and he gained 9 positions. In 12th is Liam Lawson Lawson with 21 laps and he stayed where he was. In 11th is Isaac Hadjar with 21 laps, he gained 4 positions. In 10th is Pierre Gasly with 20 laps and he gained 4 positions. In 9th is Gabriel Bortoleto with 21 laps and he gained 7 positions. In 8th is Max Verstappen with 22 laps and he gained 2 positions. In 7th is Nico Hülkenberg with 21 laps, he stayed where he was. In 6th is Lando Norris with 13 laps, he dropped 2 positions. In 5th is Lewis Hamilton with 23 laps, he gained 1 position. In 4th is Oscar Piastri with 19 laps, he dropped 3 positions. In 3rd is Charles Leclerc with 20 laps, he gained 2 positions. In 2nd is George Russell with 18 laps, he gained 1 position. And in 1st is Kimi Antonelli with 18 laps and he also gained 1 position. But how did they qualify? Well, in 22nd position, we finally see a change for Lance Stroll, but it's not a positive one because he dropped 1 position into 22nd. And then in 21st is Fernando Alonso, who gained 1 position. In 20th is Valtteri Bottas, who dropped 1 position. In 19th is Sergio Perez, who gained 1 position. In 18th is Oliver Bowman, who dropped 3 positions. In 17th is Alex Albon, who dropped 1 position. In 16th is Carlos Sainz, who gained 2 positions. In 15th is Franco Colapinto, who gained 2 positions. In 14th is Liam Lawson, who dropped 2 positions. In 13th is Nico Hülkenberg, who dropped 6 positions. In 12th is Esteban Ocon, who gained 3 positions. In 11th is Max Verstappen, who dropped 3 positions. In 10th is Arvid Lindblad, who gained 3 positions. In 9th is Gabriel Bortoleto, who stayed where he was. In 8th is Isaac Hadjar, who gained 3 positions. In 7th is Pierre Gasly, who gained 3 positions. In 6th is Lewis Hamilton, who dropped 1 position. In 5th is Lando Norris, who gained 1 position. In 4th is Charles Leclerc, who dropped 1 position. In 3rd is Oscar Piastri, who gained 1 position. In 2nd is George Russell, who stayed where he was. And in 1st is Kimi Antonelli, who stayed where he was. So what happened in the actual race? Well, we had a utterly terrifying crash for Oliver Bowman, who just lost control of his car due to closing speed, and we will talk about that in a moment. But he finished in 22nd, dropping 4 positions. In 21st is Lance Stroll, who gained 1 position back to his favourite 21st position, but he also did not finish because he had some issue with his car. In 20th position is Alex Albon, who dropped 3 positions. In 19th is Valtteri Bottas, who gained 1 position. In 18th is Fernando Alonso, who gained 3 positions. In 17th is Sergio Perez, who gained 2 positions. In 16th is Franco Colapinto, who dropped 1 position. In 15th is Carlos Sainz, who gained 1 position. In 14th is Arvid Lindblad, who dropped 4 positions. In 13th is Gabriel Bortoleto, who dropped 4 positions. In 12th is Isaac Hadjar, who dropped 4 positions. In 11th is Nico Hülkenberg, who gained 2 positions. In 10th is Esteban Ocon, who gained 2 positions. In 19th is Liam Lawson, who gained 5 positions. In 8th is Max Verstappen, who gained 3 positions. In 7th is Pierre Gasly, who stayed where he was. In 6th is Lewis Hamilton, who stayed where he was. In 5th is Lando Norris, who stayed where he was. In 4th is George Russell, who dropped 2 positions. In 3rd is Charles Leclerc, who gained 1 position. In 2nd is Oscar Piastri, who gained 1 position. And in 1st is Kimi Antonelli, 2 races in a row, and we will also talk about that in a second, but he stayed where he was. So let's talk about that Drivers' Championship, shall we? Where we go in the correct order this time. And in 1st position, we have a new championship leader with Kimi Antonelli, the youngest ever championship leader. He is on 72 points, and then behind him in 2nd is his teammate George Russell with 63 points, 9 points behind Antonelli. In 3rd is Charles Leclerc with 49 points, he's 14 points behind George Russell. In 4th is Lewis Hamilton with 41 points, 8 points behind his teammate Leclerc. In 5th is Lando Norris with 25 points, 16 points behind Lewis Hamilton. In 6th is Oscar Piastri with 21 points, 4 points behind his teammate Lando Norris. In 7th is Oliver Bowman with 17 points, 4 points behind Oscar Piastri. In 8th is Pierre Gasly, who is on 15 points, he's 2 points behind Oliver Bowman. In 9th is Max Verstappen with 12 points, 3 points behind Pierre Gasly. In 10th is Liam Lawson with 10 points, 2 points behind Max Verstappen. In 11th is his teammate Arvid Lindblad on 4 points, 6 points behind Liam Lawson. Then in 12th is Isaac Hadjar with 4 points, and he is on the same points as Arvid Lindblad. In 13th is Gabriel Bortoleto on 2 points, 2 points behind Isaac Hadjar. In 14th is Carlos Sainz on 2 points, same as Bortoleto. In 15th is Esteban Ocon on 1 point, 1 point behind Carlos Sainz. In 16th is Franco Colapinto on 1 point, same as Ocon. In 17th is Nico Hulkenberg on 0 points, and that's 1 point behind Franco Colapinto. In 18th is Alex Albon on 0 points. In 19th is Valtteri Bottas on 0 points. In 20th is Sergio Perez on 0 points. In 21st is Fernando Alonso in 0 points. And in 22nd is Lance Stroll with 0 points. Let's talk about that Constructors' Championship. In first position is Mercedes with 135 points, followed by Ferrari, 45 points behind on 90. In third position is McLaren on 46 points, 44 points behind Ferrari. In fourth is Haas with 18 points, 28 points behind McLaren. In fifth is Alpine with 16 points, 2 points behind Haas. In sixth is Red Bull with 16 points, same as Alpine. In seventh is Racing Bulls with 14 points, 2 points behind Red Bull, their sister team. In 8th is Audi on 2 points, 2 points behind Racing Bulls. In 9th is Williams with 2 points, same as Audi. In 10th is Cadillac on 0 points, so that's 2 points behind Williams. And in 11th is Aston Martin with 0 points. And now it's time for a little yap. Let's talk about some of the things I picked up during this Grand Prix. Number one, we should not be able to witness another crash like Oliver Behrman had. He lost control of his car due to closing speed when he was trying to overtake Colapinto, who lost battery power and could not move out of the way in time, forcing Behrman to crash into polystyrene, losing control, and then twisting his car so it was facing the wrong way and into the wall. And then we saw him be limping out of the car and then helped by marshals to help him walk and then be able to sit down while he waits for a medical car to pick him up. It was a 50G hit, so it was horrible, and I'm glad that he is doing okay, as he mentioned in his Instagram posts and in interviews. But it's still a terrifying situation to be in, and no one should have to go through that. So FIA really needs to have a deep think as to how this can be prevented. They have said that they will look into how this happened and how we can prevent this during the 5-week break as a result of the Bahrain Grand Prix and the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix being cancelled. They will have to look over what they can change to make this sport safer, because we do not want to see that again. And in another point, let's talk about how Cadillac were able to finally both finish the race. Both cars finished the race. Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso was able to finish the race. Lance Stroll wasn't. And then what is going on with Red Bull? They are nowhere. Max Verstappen is outraged with the fact that this sport has just gone downhill. He warned everyone about how bad it will be for the teams to get a hold of these regulations and how terrible it will be to race, because it will feel artificial, and it feels like Mario Kart. Oscar Piastri, because he was on the podium in second place, he mentioned as a result of the fact that he did not take part in the previous 2 Grand Prix due to crashing in Australia while he was getting out for the formation lap, and then in China his car had issues, so he could not start the race. Now that he was able to finally start and finish a race, he said that he now understands what people mean by racing like Mario when using the boost button, being like getting mushrooms in Mario Kart. So it basically doesn't feel like real life racing. It just feels like a game, and it's not authentic. All the drivers are complaining of this, apart from Mercedes, who are enjoying the success that they're having. But Russell did not have a good time. He did not enjoy the fact that he was beaten by by his teammate yet again. He had issues in quali, and then it just spiraled and spiraled. He was outraged as well when the safety car came out, because it came out the lap after he pitted for new tires. So that was a wasted opportunity. He thought that he had the opportunity to win that race, and it did not happen. However, I don't believe he had that chance. In Japan, it was more a race between Antonelli and between Oscar Piastri, because they showed potential all throughout this weekend. Russell was sort of all over the place, as you could tell from all of the free practices, quali and the race. He got lost, and Mercedes still have that trouble of being able to start properly, so it does not bode well for them in that regard. So although Kimi qualified first, once all the cars actually set off, Oscar Piastri took control of the race. He overtook Antonelli almost immediately, and Antonelli actually started the race in 7th when he was actually able to leave the starting grid position. And Russell as well was overtaken, and he was somewhere in the regions of 4th and 5th, because he was overtaken by both Ferraris and both McLarens, and it was a wild beginning, full of overtakes, and eventually Antonelli managed to catch up with a Piastri, but Russell was not able to do so. So that is the first yap time over. I hope you enjoyed that, and the next race is in 5 weeks' time, so there won't be much of a yap, but there might be, but not a race rundown yap until Miami. So thank you so much for listening to another episode of Formula Amateur. Thank you for listening to another race rundown. This has been a very exciting but also a very tumultuous race, a very wild, what a wild weekend it was, but that is now over, and on to the next race in 5 weeks' time, which is going to be terrible, because we've just started the season and now we have a 5-week break, and then we have Miami, and then a 3-week break, and then we're in Montreal, and then I believe there's maybe a week's break, or maybe not, between Montreal and Monaco, and that's when the European season starts, so the times become a bit more applicable for us over here in Europe, but I'm sure everyone else around the world is loving these times that are starting. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you check out my lovely colleagues on the Be The Change Media Network. Check out BeTheChangeMediaNetwork.com for all of your podcast, video and blog needs. I hope you have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you on Saturday, where we'll be talking all about IndyCar Next and what the USA racing has to offer. I'll see you then. Goodbye.